Yo,
Hey Brett, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Glad to hear.
Are you able to hear me pretty clearly?
I am. I hope you don't mind. I've got you on speaker. I'm sitting in my studio, and I can hear you clearly. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I got you, and you everything looks good on the dial.
Nice.
The way this works is I'm just gonna ask you some questions. I'm recording this,
Mm-hmm.
and feel free to ramble. I like it when people just start talking about random shit. You don't have to just talk about music.
Oh, well, you might be in for a treat.
All right, question one: where are
Yeah.
you located, and what is your name?
My artist name is Earthbender, RTHBNDR, and I'm located in the same place that I'm from, which is the Cut. And the Cut includes back alleys and backwoods all over the world. Currently, this Cut is Fayetteville, North Carolina.
And how did you end up there? Let's start with
Well,
Fayetteville and then finish with the cut.
okay, so this time in Fayetteville, I lived here when I was younger for a spell. But this time I moved here to be with my partner, who you know, B. She is amazing. So I came here to be with B.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And why are you from the cut?
Why am I from the Cut? I reckon you could ask my folks or you know, whoever you ask for guidance. I couldn't tell you. It's where I my take on it is I belonged in the Cut like a band-aid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Is the cut the
I
whole
saw
Earth?
a meme or go ahead.
Is the cut the whole Earth?
No, no, it's the Cut. So like back in the day we called the Cut different spots. You know, it means different things in different places. Like coming up in Eastern North Carolina, the Cut was usually for us a lot of times meant like some backwoods, you know, like a place to go, like if we, you know, you were smoking weed or something or
Mm.
whatever, you know. This all, you know, back in the day stuff. But then the Cut's also like any, you know, your particular, like say if you were at a trap house, you know, like be like, yo, where you at? I'm in the Cut, you know.
I
But
see.
if you're in a back alley where you posted up, you know, on your block for whatever reason, I'm in the Cut. You know, it's as with most things, context is very important.
Mhm.
But I like it because it's vague, but it's very specific to those. It's one of those if you know, you know, type beats.
I got you.
Yeah.
And how long have you been working as Earthbender?
I've been working as Earthbender. It's a relatively new project. I've been working as Earthbender, I guess, since August 12th of 2022, the day I was, you know, quote, released from my incarceration. I kind of got to work that day. I'd already had a few things lined up so that I could hit the ground running, and I had picked the name, and then kind of ran with it, you know.
And okay. And what sort of subject matters do you explore in Earthbender?
All sorts. So Earthbender is the current, uh, you know, compounding of my life's work and adventures and explorations and music. I've been playing music essentially all my life, heavily and semi-professionally since I was about 13. But for Earthbender specifically, which is my most like well-rounded and you know that's my current project,
Right.
and what I'm giving my all and embody. It embodies me well, and I it. So the main focus would be environmental. That's one of the subjects. I don't always talk about like environmental issues, um, but like that's always kind of a main focus. And when it might not always. There's some songs where it's directly addressed in lyrics, but that's not like a consistent. Like I don't use it as like a gimmick where like I'm always I keep
Yeah.
talking about any sort of shit. So I talked about a lot of things. So I mean I've talked about our social, environmental issues, things like that. I reference, climate change and the need for action, the need for direct action in class war, the war on drugs, solidarity with particularly our southern neighbors, but immigrants really all over the world throughout my work. And most recently, I did kind of a hat trick of heaters called Fairy Goat, which is mainly an instrumental. There's no lyrics per se, but I do sing and hum. And that was an ode to some of the dead homies, one of which at least I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
Yeah, and then Dark Futurism with P.T. Burnham, who I loved your interview with him, by the way.
No,
He's
he's great.
been one of my most influential artists in my life. Very, very honored to have worked with him and been inspired by him. So Dark Futurism is about AI and our potential future with it, essentially on the concept, the old adage, God creates man, man kills God, man creates AI, dot, dot, dot,
I got you. Yeah.
And then besides that, there's warning shots, which I think is self-explanatory. And I'm really excited about that. So B actually had, my partner had the idea for a music video for that. We considered multiple things, but we're going to enlist, I'll keep their name on the low for now, but a local and very talented pole dancer that B knows. So we're going to do a video of her doing a pole dance in her private, studio while I perform the song live. And I think B's kind of gonna, since it was her idea, I'm gonna let her direct it a lot.
Nice.
As an artist, I always, will want the final say, but also I trust my partner, 100% too. So,
Yeah.
So I'm real excited for that. That'll be new for me, Yeah, that'll be a new one for me, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's definitely that's new for me too. So
Yeah, I've never been a strip club type. I went once. My buddy made me go on my 18th birthday to the Silver Bullet in Greenville. I took mushrooms and it was horrible. I was very uncomfortable. It was, and now don't get me wrong, I'm very pro sex work. I have lots of friends that are strippers. I myself am on OnlyFans. Like I'm very pro sex. Like I don't knock the hustle. I was just way too lit, and it was like a really sketchy spot, and I didn't enjoy myself. So that's never been my vibe. But here recently, I've been listening to a ton of St. John, who his album. First, what got me into it was his album "While the World Was Burning." The song "Freedom Is Priceless." But I just recently saw, and I think this is what inspired the idea for B. Is he did a full his listening party for his album, Ghetto Lenny's Love Songs, was just at a strip club, and it was like fully rented out, just like the people, the dancers doing their thing on the pole to like songs accordingly, and that was like the whole album premiere. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice.
I think the human body and dance and art and just combat, any expression of the human body can be beautiful.
I agree completely. So when before you got out, did you have like song ideas in mind that you were going to work on, or did you have the opportunity to like play music at all while you were incarcerated?
Yes and no. Yes and no. So I'll give you the shortest version of this I can, which will still be pretty wordy. So yes, I was writing lyrics from, I mean, as I've always done. And even the first like night I was had access to a pen and a paper. Um, I was writing lyrics mainly as a coping mechanism, and I think that's true with a lot of artists. That's kind of the bittersweet part of being an artist is that a lot of, as you know, humans, we never want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But as artists, sometimes when we have to deal with discomfort, our coping mechanism, art, is when a lot of that comes to fruition. And I'm not saying suffering, you know, I wouldn't never wish, especially incarceration, on anyone. But it's definitely a bittersweet, duality and dichotomy of being an artist and a human. So, yeah, I was writing lyrics the whole time. I mean, not the whole time, just as, you know, I felt inspired to do so. A lot of poetry. I had a poem, Mass Incarceration, published in the Fayetteville Speaks zine, a prison scene zine, run through Northwestern University of Illinois, but ran by the maximum security Stateville prison in Illinois, and some poets there. So yeah, I was doing stuff like that. I had some song ideas. I almost got to play music, and this is when I'd been there for a minute. You know, my name was real respected around the yard. People, other poets and creative types were starting to take notice of me, and, you know, we're all linking up. And I got put on with, and I was in Dixie, it's a huge prison. It's a city. They drive bands around it for context, how big it is, thousands of people. It's a medium max in Illinois. So I finally get put on by the guy who was running, incredible poet. He was running the creative writing workshop. This is pre-COVID, and there was still some, like, things were a little open, and there were some things happening, not a lot, but some. So I go over to audition with the band, who they would do occasional, like, rap and rock concerts or gospel or whatever, you know, that, like, us, the prisoners, would put on and attend. And I went over there and talked them into giving me a minute on the drums and went clean the fuck off. And all the horn players came out of the back, and people were like, yo, like, buddy got it. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it's the new, everybody, we're all super excited. They've been struggling with finding, like, a dynamic enough drummer for what a lot of people wanted. And then I was so excited, I called my mom. My mom tells my grandma, you know, like, we're all like, brother, he's going to be playing drums again, thank God. He's been losing his damn mind. And then I get my call pass, which you need to, like, move off the wing, you know, the housing unit.
Yeah.
For the guards to let you, like, really move. I get my first call pass to go to the little auditorium to get on the drums and, like, start jamming. I was gonna be over. They were like, "You're gonna be over here twice a week. Like, you're the new, like, Dixon drummer." You know, everybody was really excited, and that was the first day that we went on a COVID lockdown.
Oh shit!
Which at the time, you know, naively of us, we're like, this should probably blow over. You know, because it was still really fresh. You know, we was like, this will probably be over in a few weeks, a month, whatever. And I mean, clearly it's still going to this day. So, yeah, they were like, all, you know, movement suspended for now, COVID, and that was a rough blow. And then I just realized, like, it's never, you know.
Right.
So I had to audition, nailed it, and then COVID happened, and I was no longer able to, you know, I had that one, like, 2-minute audition, and that was the only time I got to play drums the whole time I was in prison. There was even a part in the middle part of my bid where I stopped identifying as an artist, which is really weird. I'd gotten really big into yoga and fitness, and some things like that. And it was just for the same reason, I didn't ask my mom to put my dog on the phone because it would make me cry. And it's not a very safe place to be too emotionally vulnerable, you know? So it was hard for me to think about music sometimes because it'd been such a big part of my life. Like my dog, to think about it too hard or identify it, or
Right.
attach myself too hard to it was just too painful. And I didn't even realize that that had happened until I got to like a work release where I had like limited access to like a phone and the internet and new music. And then as soon as I had some like inspiration, it was like, the power got turned back on,
Yeah.
It was just me like adapting for my own like emotional sanity there for a while. But an interesting,
Did you manage once that period had ended? Did you manage to start up and being creative again and feeling comfortable doing that?
Very much, yeah. Started gaining a ton of traction, and like I said, I've been writing as inspired the entire time. Actually, I just in the last like week or so finally started working on what I thought was going to be my first album when I got out. Now there's a whole other body of work that I've released, but the thing I was going to release is and what'll be probably my next, the Prison Yogi, is going to be made up, at least lyrically, of things all that I wrote while incarcerated. And I've had that planned out kind of from the about a year into my bid that started that idea started to form.
Did you have a lot of your music deals with like political and social issues? Did you have an interest in activism before you went in, or did it?
Oh yeah, I've been with the shit since I've been in this world. So I've worked with Environment North Carolina. I've worked with Greenpeace. I've been part of multiple protests long before a lot of my personal circle of friends had gotten involved. Like before, like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and things like that really sent people off,
Oh yeah.
I'd kind of been sent off. I feel like I was born upset about a few things. And so yes, I'd been publicly an activist involved in like shutting down the Raleigh-Durham airport during the immigration, the Muslim ban Trump tried to enact in 2016. There was like 2,000 of us. I was one of them. I'd made a bucket drum, and I'm out there like adding beats to the chants, and I've got a backpack full of like water bottles and snacks for everybody. It's lit. And we're like, if you detain one of them, you got to detain all of us. And they knew better. It was a rare time that worked really well. There's power in numbers. That at the Raleigh-Durham airport, the first day of the immigration ban that Trump tried to enact, they didn't detain anyone. At least that day, that they were we were balls deep up there. I've also I think my first protest was, I want to say, Michael Brown. I think I'm getting that name right. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm recovering from surgery. I'm a little out of it if I get any names wrong. But that was in, I want to say, St. Louis or Louisville. I forget the exact, but we were at a protest. That was one of my first like straight up like anti-police brutality specific,
right?
Like anti-police brutality protests was the killing of an innocent man, an innocent black man.
That was the one that sort of set off Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that was definitely the origin. There was and there's a long culmination, and as a white man, I'm not probably the best person to speak on a lot of that, but my first involvement with like publicly protesting was we were in Asheville, and we kind of let the cops know what's up in the door.
Yeah, like there was. I remember there was that protest. Well, that event happened, and then I can't remember the exact order, but then Baltimore, I think, exploded,
Oh yeah.
and then Eric Garner in New York City got choked.
Oh, that one really sent me because I mean, one, the whole thing, the video is horrific, all of it, but the one of the things that pissed me off the most about that is then the fucking cops are outside the hospital that he was in, or outside a hospital. I don't know. I can't remember if he made it or not. But they, I think this is after his death, but I think they went back to the hospital they initially took him to. And there's pictures of them, the guy who murdered, the guys who murdered him,
Right.
wearing fucking hoodies they had custom made saying, "I can breathe."
Right.
Obviously after his public, like, "I can't breathe."
And
And I'm sitting there staring at these assholes in their hoodies like, we might be able to fix that. You know,
then
I
I
think
remember
people
that
should
too
always
because
taste their medicine.
De Blasio, the mayor of New York, tried to be like a little bit understanding, and then like the New York police just like turned around and wouldn't face him. Like,
Well, I'm very big on fuck the police and you know, politicians in general. I personally know a few that are really good people that are trying, but yeah, I'm
the other thing about the Eric Garner that kind of like set me off, or like educated me a little bit, was that
mhm.
a lot of like the sort of talking head alt-right guys, or like they used to be call themselves libertarians before that. And,
Yeah, right.
like,
Republicans who smoke weed.
right, Molyneux, Stephen Molyneux is one of them. And I remember
Okay.
that happening and him being like, well, he should have obeyed the police. And I was like, wait a second. He got choked to death because he didn't pay a tax. Isn't that like your
Yeah,
thing?
so
Isn't that your
Lucy,
whole
like
thing?
the-
Like, that's your whole thing is like,
Also in response to that, look at Philando Castile, who did everything. He was an armed and legally armed, had his concealed. He was like, he should have been a poster child for the fucking NRA.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was a black man in America, so obviously
Right.
they didn't. You know, I'm not going to explain the situation. You or a reader you look into it as you feel so inclined. But even when someone does try to do what they're told and,
yeah.
you know, go obey all the laws and proper channels, it doesn't necessarily end well for them.
Yeah, it's just always like, it's true. There's a double standard for sure. It's just
Yeah, but
like,
I've been.
sorry. It's
Oh,
just,
go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say this one thing. Like, just when someone whose whole thing is I'm intellectually consistent on everything, then breaks their consistency specifically so they can be racist. Like,
Yeah.
that fucks me up, man. I'm like, what do you?
It was like, what happened?
What happened? Anyway.
How did it's like that's weird and convenient?
Yeah.
That you're right. It's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You're like, we're really convenient and weird that this is coming up now, but okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But yeah, on your and to further elaborate, yeah, I mean, I guess I've been like radicalized from a very, young age. I grew up in very diverse communities, and I've been in and out of the legal system since I was 14.
Okay.
So not only being in like at-risk youth programs and juvies and jail and you name it, you know, but also working later as an adult at a at-risk youth like wilderness program, and like there were shorties with like 13 bullet holes in them. Like, y'all got more bullet holes. You got the same amount of bullet holes in you as you've had birthdays. Like,
yeah.
It's wild out here. So I feel like I was radicalized at a pretty young age. I mean, even just from like growing up watching like romanticizing like outlaws and mountain men to like mountain men and cowboy movies, but particularly shit like Robin Hood. You know, like I remember seeing Mulan and like Tarzan and Robin Hood and shit like that, and be like, oh yeah, they were the shit. Like, so yeah, how that manifested has been in a lot of ways, but yeah, maybe I feel like I can't exactly remember the day I got radicalized, but I feel like it was pretty young.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I don't think it's really radicalized. It's kind of seeing things through a clearer lens,
Right.
and outside, or at least trying. Privilege is a very blinding thing. However, at least attempting to see things from another lens outside of your privilege, and it basically empathy, just realizing that like not everyone is going to get treated the same as you, particularly in a racist, capitalist police state, you know, and patriarchal.
Right.
You know, oh yeah, we don't have to get into but so much all that, but just I think really just kind of a place what some people call, you know, being a radical. I call being empathetic and reasonable, compassionate, if you will.
I follow.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this: do you have anything you're working on right now, or anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah. Hold on a second, if you don't mind. I have to use the restroom. I hope that's okay. Just gotta take a piss real quick.
Okay.
I don't have to let you go. I'm gonna keep talking if you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
Okay.
This is a first, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm currently taking a leak. Anywho, yeah, I'm working on the prison yogi, and I've got a few other things in the works. But I'd encourage people to listen to my most recent releases that I put a lot of hard work into, and I'm very proud of. Are a very good reflection of where I'm at artistically, which would be A Cabin in the Woods, Fairy Dark Futurism, and yeah.
Okay. What about okay.
But I'm always working on something, you know?
Yeah, that's the way to be. All right, so
myself, at least, hopefully.
So if you got any websites you would like me to include in the article, make sure and message them to me. Okay. Just earthbender.com?
Or it's just earthbender.com, and then there's also earthbender.bandcamp.com, but there's a link to that on the earthbender.com.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm also on all socials, platforms, streaming services, OnlyFans, you name it. I ain't too hard to find.
All right, well, if you give me a list of those in like a message, I'll make sure to include them at the beginning.
Okay.
And also, if you could send me a few photographs of you performing, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll do that once we get off the phone.
All right. Well, final question is,
all right.
Is there anything you were hoping to say that I haven't asked you about?
I don't know. If there was, I'll probably realize it as I'm trying to go to bed tonight. But no, I'm just grateful that you gave me the opportunity. I'm a big fan of your work and your collective, the committee, what y'all do, issues, and the platform that you give artists. I really like it, and I like your approach to it, so I'm extremely grateful that you gave me some of your time.
Thank you so much, Brett.
Thank you, buddy.
It'll be out first of next month in print, and then after that, I'll release the audio.
Bet. All right, I love you, buddy. Hope you feel better, okay? I'll send you some stuff once we get off the phone.
All right, love you too. Have a good night.
Night.